This is day 229 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you're the sponsor of upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. We very much appreciate it. Today we are leaving Kuf Samach. We're starting Kuf Samach Chav, Kuf Samach Sif Chav, and going to Kuf Samach Aleph Sif Beis. Chav. Because I've been around my Sif Yidal, Mishlon tell Yodav, somebody didn't wash his hands, V'noga B'mayim, and touch the water, which is intended for Netilas Yadayim. That water is not possible for washing. For don't make your mind to me, they're not good. It's not called tummy water. You're not allowed to use water which is already used for Netilas Yadayim. That's a quote from the Rama. Biyodvara means to say, I've got Sim Kuf Samach Beis, even though we're going to learn the Kshenot Yoda Achas. If you washed one hand, and then that hand which you washed touch your other hand, which is still tamei, it makes the first hand tamei. So this should go without saying. That if you touch water before netila, that makes that water puzzle. Then okay, it's not true. The rat was shas and netila only at the time of netilas yadayim. When you are involved in this process of being matayar your hands and purifying your hands, shaykh tuma uz. Then it's possible to have tuma be a factor. According to the details which be explained in some Kufsam Beis. Mashengi Kodem Netil is supposed to be before Netil lo goes Rabban didn't make a decree. Because man Shemayim Bekeli lo nivsolu. As long as the water is in the vessel and you haven't started the process of Netilas Yadayim, there's no such thing as a psul. For Railas, the evidence for this is the Honey's Bar B'Sib Dal. We learned in Sib Dal with baker rinses his hands in the water. Mutzali Tom Maybe Yadayim still allowed to use it for washing. This is an explicit Mishnah. The baker has not washed for eating. The nevertheless, the waters are kosher. Therefore, even somebody comes out of a bathroom, and he dips his hands into a vessel of water, but not have a chofnav, and he takes in his palms, a little bit of water of shaf from the chutz, and he pours it out. Lo nit me'u shar ma'anish v'keli. The other water in the keli does not become tummy. This is from Yom Shlomo. And they show zel come here because it's before the netila has begun. However, if you didn't take it in your palms, you would dunk your hands in the keli and the water remained there. Harei timu kol hamayim, and they made all the water tummy. Even though you can't, even though they're not yet in the process of using Netilas Yadayim, they became tummy at the time that you wash yourself. Mitumas beis hakisei, since you use it not because you used it stam to clean up dough off your hands. Use it to mitumas beis hakisei, then it's not appropriate to be used again for Netilas Yadayim. But since it was used halachically, you should get used again for Netilas Yadayim afterwards. The Havik and Netila, because it's like Netila. It says in brackets here, Ayin Mel Yo Rabba, even though he has a suffix, he does not become lenient. Then finishes Avol, it's said, which is not allowed to use water which your friend already washed from. Don't think that just like before Netila, there's no tuma involved in the water. So after the Netila, it's not true. The main Netila, Kvarnidmu, the word on Netilas Yadayim, this case when they come tummy, how can they come kosher again? Not so bad. People use excessive amount of water when you wash. Never shame tuma, you all get the shame tuma, but you can't use them over again. Rama wrote that water which your friend already used in Netilas Yadayim, Urcha the milsa naka. That's just the normal. That's just the normal way it's going to happen that you use it, now your friend whether you use it. But who didn't make the hatzmo, you can't use it yourself. Also, the second time around, upashitu. That's obvious. Chafaf, number 8, Meseches Yadayim, May Revius Nosim Yadayim, Chad Aflishnayim. Revius, which is 3.3 ounces according to Chaim Noah, 4.1 ounces according to Chaz Neish, works for one or two people. I'm sorry, Yichatzi log from half a log, which is twice a revius, which lo sharbo works with 3 or 4 people. Milog, which is twice a half a log, l'chamisha ula sar lamea, work with 5, 10, or 100 people. Klamar guzmaknai, it's a little bit exaggerated. Come on a kozman should speak in mind, as long as there's enough water to pour on everybody's hands. Vachi perusha. That's the way to understand it. Chacham Tiknu, the enactment was should after revius mine mithluyadayim, that specifically from a revius should be used at a minimum to wash hands. And posting revius left kumu, because less than revius is nothing. So after echad, that's true even for one person. However, galashnai must be revius. For 2 people, also that amount of water is sufficient. Ksharishon shafach rakachetzi, when the first one only spilled out half of the water. Kashu chacham reckoned to Chatzi revius daily yodan. Half revius is sufficient for the hands. Therefore, the second guy can use the second half of the revius. Why is that? Because this water was already used for to be matari yadayim, so it had the same water of taras yadayim from the time we started using it, even though there was less than revius left. We need the fees according to shir zeh haydai l'shlosha. Rebius max, according to this, for 3 people would be not enough to have a rebius and a half. El came in the fish gavre, but since there's so many people about, we're afraid that they're not going to be so meticulous. Litol out of parak to wash to the wrist. So therefore they said, yeah, now the 1.5 is not enough. You have to have two revius, which is a half a log. Meal b'diavad, nevertheless, b'diavad yicha the revius umechza, if there is a revius and a half, which is 3/8 altogether. Varishon natach chatz revius, the first person used half revius. Abaded yoel revius ala shnayim, the remaining revius. Actually, it's more than the Shanata Chatzi Rebius, which is 1/8, right? So 3/8 minus 1/8 is 2/8, was 1/4. Provided the other Rebius, the Rebius which remains should certainly suffice for the 2. The first guy took too much. Low that speak on the Yishal Rak, whatever's left will only work for one person. Chav base. Yes, there's a disagreement about this. Some will say you have to wash simultaneously. Those who say also consecutively. The water has to have a revius. That's one person. But for 2, when they come to wash as one, the last one, it's a little bit strange how you have an achron that's simultaneous. Even if there's one after another, as long as the flow has not stopped. How so? Revius water in a vessel. One extend his hands, and the other guy pours it on his hands. The second guy comes and puts his hands lower down, next to the hands of the first guy, and a flow pours on the hand of the first guy. Yadol Shoshani and to the second guy's hand, which is beneath him. Yidei Shem Torah stands in both of them Torah. Afalpi, even though Shemichei Shir revius, Shem Agim Yadol Shoshani, even though there's less than Shir revius by the time they reach the hands of the second guy, Yadav Torah, the hands are Torah, because this water is coming from water which has already begun to use in the process of Torah. Yesh Matim sons permit this. I feel if they watch one after another. Since the time one of them began, they had the shear of revius. Only therefore they also work for the second guy. They come from the remnant of Tara, meaning for water which has already begun to be used 400 tills a time. The Mishnah Berurah says about this. According to this opinion, the first guy has to pour on his hands twice and be very meticulous in being very sparing, so that the second guy can have a shear with which he can wash his hands. but according to the first opinion, that it's almost consecutive, almost simultaneous. So you have to pour on the first guy all of the Revius of water, and then let it spill on the other. It spills on the other guy's hands. So he says, you can rely on the first opinion that it goes, even though it hit the first guy's hands, and it was going off the second guy's hands, it's still okay. All right, back to Arukh HaShulchan. But there's another mechati log l'shlosh. In the same manner, you watch from half a log for 3, bar for 4 people, logan from a log, how many of them, kozma for many people, kozma just because as long as there's enough water, l'shpocha kol echad al yodo shlosh apamim. You pour each one in his hands 3 times. Which I guess means the Arukh HaShulchan says, or at least the name of the Beis Yosef, he says that you need 3 times when you're washing. But the Mishnah Berurah says 2 times, because the primary atila, because of Tara, is 2 times. Only if you have a dirt, which is a chatzitza, you have to wash 1 time beforehand to remove the dirt. Okay, so the Mishnah Armin is like the Mishnah Berurah. I know Chabad and perhaps other Chassidim do 3 times. Back to the text of Arukh HaShulchan. According to the first opinion, of course, it's not Arukh HaShulchan speaking. Who is speaking here? It's the Beis Yosef. Yeah, it's the Beis Yosef. That's why. Okay, 4 or 5 people can put their hands next to each other. One on top of each other, and have the hands done simultaneously. As long as they let their hands loose, supposed to hold a tight grip, so that the water will reach each one of them. All of this is now talking to us, Beis Yosef. That's why if they had a mind to begin with, to do both of them at the same time. When one had a mind initially just for himself. Then he changed his mind. The second guy changed his mind. The man put his hands out below the first guy's. Has to be intrinsic in the natila from the beginning. Otherwise, his hands remain tomei. He has to dry him up, and make the natilas daim over again. Mishnah Berurah says that this is true. In this case, it's specifically when they come to wash it 1 time, but the second one's going to wait until after the first one's finished. But when the other guy comes after a long time, obviously it doesn't work to have less than a Revius for the second guy. Okay, Chav Gimel. Rambam is astonishing, which happens often. Otherwise, we would not have 9/10 of the alumnus that we had. Nothing our Bob Chamisha said besides that 4 or 5 people come out and watch next to each other. Sorry, Zeh besides Zeh, Zeh Agabe Zeh. One next to each other, one on top of each other. B'shtifa achas with 1 fell swoop. V'vad shir for yedem, as long as they weaken their grip, kadesh yavo my mind, so the water can answer there. And then that flow should be 1 Revius for each and every person. V'utamua, b'masha matzich Revius called echad hefach HaMishnah. It's astonishing because Mishnah says you do multiple people per Revius, at least 2, and then add on from there. So how come I'm saying each person needs a Revius? Now Rambam Malech Jitas. So Rambam goes according to his sheet of Perushal and Mishnah in his Talmud and Mishnayos, and his introduction there. The Mayim Arishonim in a Pchusim Revius called Echad Echad. The slime water has to be Revius each and every person. Mishnah Zui b'Mayim Shteim Nis Mishnah b'Mayim Achroinim. Sheikil b'Am which they were leaning. If it's rak l'truma, that's only truma. Even that's only truma. Oh no, yeah. And that, according to Rambam, you only need by truma. By chuli, you don't need any second water at all. They removed everything altogether. Din zeh. Because of din zeh, Milchos Mikvos, this halachas brought down Milchos Mikvos. Perak Yirav, in truma, in terms of truma where it's relevant, Ein Sham. So Shulchan Levi Daito Cloud, don't Shulchan don't bring down as many at all. Fishu Yachbe Feirush there. There's one isolated person in this Feirush that each person needs a log. You don't have to be machmir to his time to take this chum into account. Nevertheless, even after all is said and done, that's the minute. Everybody takes their own Revius nowadays. If ain't no limstein revius achas, we don't have two people watching from one revius. But Allah writes that nevertheless b'shas adchak, you can rely on all the books we mentioned above. Chav Dalet, tzarich sheyeh revius muchunas makom echad. The revius has to be gathered in one locale. B'kli achas in one vessel. Shetab b'shminas, because we watch from an eighth of a log. The chazan at the mishminas, and then watched again from an eighth of a log. So Yodav Tmeos Kshoy had no effect. Not when you have to try them. Absorb Litom Revius and watch again for Revius. Why do you have to wipe them off? You don't. The second time won't work. She's Tama Mayim Me'ayadayim. The hands he's pouring will become tummy from the hands which have moisture still on them. Whatever. The Revius said it's good whether you're washing. It's good whether you're washing two hands. Washing one hand. Whether it's a child, whether the person is a child with small hands, or an adult with large hands. Rabban didn't draw distinctions. The two people wash one of their hands, one of each hands simultaneously, or consecutively, one after each other. And then the second guy starts his second hand. It's like three people. Interesting. His second hand is going to be like another person. Beginning only did one hand. Therefore, if initially there was a clear half a log, Yodav Torah, his hands are Torah. If not, his hands don't become Torah. Because we wrote at least have lug for everybody. In order that there shouldn't be too little. Between one hand and two hands. The one hand is already the first natila. The second hand, if you do it out of order, is the second natila. Mishabura says, which one we have to? Yeah, if you pour, well, we really know before. No, it says, if you pour two shminas on your hands in one flow, I guess one flow is chiddush. It doesn't work. You have to have a revius from one vessel. The Lachar said, it's true about we have the one hand, two hand, hand one, hand two. So let's go in that case. Yeah. So the Bir Halacha says it's specifically for the Rishon, for the first guy. Shani washed also his second hand after he washed his first hand. So then that certainly works with Natila. Because Revius works in for two people because it comes to Shriya Tara. So, and that which what he lost though is what the first guy washed with one hand. I'm not sure he's losing as a result. I guess he's losing that. He needs more water in some way, shape, or form. Okay, interruptions in washing. The interruption is not verbal, but on your skin. You have to make sure there's nothing, no barrier comes between you and the water. Everything which is a barrier when you toivel a goof the entire body. Also by washing. Even for chulin ayin sham. The call to tikkun rabbanik ein d'oraisa tikkun. Anything rabbanik may acted as parallel to the raisa. But the Tosefta the Nikos that says there the chulin ein chaytzitzim, the chulin ein chaytzitzim in terms of chulin. There's no chatzitza. Zel b'nigiyah the chulin shenasu ataras truma. As you touch chulin which were made to the standard of tara as if they were truma. So there. So that would be, I guess, l'chumra there actually, because you'd say that even though you didn't touch it directly, nevertheless it becomes tummy. It says all of them. Also, you have to be careful about one thing, which is very prevalent. You have them because under your nails has to be clean. The shulchan tzoa shetas b'shlo keneged abasar. If you have some sort of muck under the nail, even it's not opposite the flesh going should burn gadol, such as where the nail is long. But goes higher than the flesh of the fingers which it adheres. The tzoa shekeneged abasar eno chaytzitz d'oraisa b'kach. So, which is opposite the flesh itself. It's not chaytzit. I said d'oraisa, but it's the urche b'kach, not d'oraisa, because it's normally there. A person not making this. But if there's dough under the nail, even if it's opposite the fleshy part, it's chatzitza. It's not normally people do this. That person is meticulous about this. Therefore, a person knows that he's not makbid. I guess he has a profession with which his hands frequently get dirty in that way. Eino chotze, it's not a chatzitza. Mishnah Berurah says that this is talking about the pollution of fingers of the nails, which normally gathers there. But little excrement, even if it's opposite the flesh, it's not considered Netilas Yadayim if you found it there. Okay. Base. Lavush writes that the reason why it's okay when it's opposite the flesh is because it doesn't adhere. When the Nichlas Shammai work and get in. Ava Batsek Mudak Harbe, but dough, which adheres very tightly. Dough is very tight, adheres tightly. Bear in mind, if not trying to work, can't get in there. I Sham Dvalch up to Mui. Arukh is astonished at him. You're there, Sham. I see I skipped the Mishnah Berurah, but I'll come back to it later. You're there, Sham Kasab Batzmo Kosham Lutam Pedo. It's not because of, it has nothing to do with whether work it in, whether you're makbid if it's there. Ayin Sham Sipul Ches. V'chein Bar Divir Atur because of Ala Tzoa Shelo Keneged Abasar. He wrote about excrement not opposite the flesh. He's not meticulous about it. It's not a chatzitza. Remember, that's talking about regular junk, not about actual tzoa. The Rashi writes both reasons. The Beckus Yafikas doesn't think tightly. He doesn't sound concerned about it. But the primary reason is Mishmei Hakbara because he's not concerned about it. When they wrote the reason of it adheres tightly, this is actually about a type of slime. If you have a bandage on your hand, it's chotzeitz, but you should yochel asir it if you're able to remove the bandage. Mishnah Berurah says that the Magen Avraham and other claims said that all those things in Mechaber mention, all the things Mechaber mentions about chatzitza, we don't go after the individual, not like the Arukh HaShulchan says we go after the individual, but he's making on, but after Rob Bnei Adam. And there's a little bit which is for most people not makbid, then even though you might be makbid, and then under the nail, it's not chatzitza, whatever it is, whether it's muck or whether it is dough, which is interesting. Different perspectives. Arukh HaShulchan goes by you, and the Mishnah Berurah goes by what the Velt thinks. Mishnah Berurah says that if you have when you have to remove the bandage, if you have just some slight irritation and not an actual wound, therefore afraid you might take off the bandage in the middle of the meal, and therefore you have to take it off before you wash. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. The slime, the pitch used by sculptors, chotzeitz, they're both chatzitza. Shabbat says that other types of mud or pitch when they're dry and they cling to the flesh, they're chatzitz, and whether it's on the top of the hand or whether it's beneath the nail, and even it's opposite the flesh. Big nachmir for this is super glue. Super glue adheres to your hands, and if it adheres, you can't be hurt to the dime in that situation. Because that's how Shalom is. It's only if it's a majority of the hand. But if it's a me, this shita. So if it's a minority hand and you're not the type of guy who cares, it's not a chatzitza. Uverov hayad, but it's a majority of the hand. Avlishu makbid, ain't a makbid. Even though you're not makbid, it is chotzitz. So the majority of hand depends on your kpeda. The majority of hand, it's a chatzitza. Period. Mishnah Berurah says that rov here means not rov of the hand, but rov of the place where you wash. And according to most poskim, you hold that's enough to the avid to the point where your fingers end. So then there'll be rov of these fingers. Be a problem. What about the fact we find halacha that if you find even on a minority of the surface something, it's a chatzitza's tum. That's something which is not negated in significance vis-a-vis the hand. But here it's the revenue, whatever it is, the refuse or whatever is batel vis-a-vis the hand. Also be put for a full revius on your hand. Lo shaykh klal tuma, then tuma no longer adheres there. Well, Kamoshi's Bar Hashem, this will be explained later in Kuf Samech Beis.